So Gaffer, two very different performances. Obviously, you're always thinking about the most recent game, but you've seen your team provide an impressive performance on Saturday, not so much on Tuesday. Is it all about finding consistency now?
Yeah, it is. I think the start of our seasons have been a little bit finding consistency, but what we know that we've got a group that's able to reach their potential and then sometimes fall below it. But then you could ask every team in this league that question and they'd all be saying the same, barring maybe a couple that are right at the top. I think Bromley have had their sort of wins and they've had their defeats, and although they're on a good winning run at the moment. But yeah, so we just got to keep going. As I said, we got to keep trying to add quality to the squad where we can, because the numbers will count when it comes into winter. And a couple of injuries like we've got now, and then all of a sudden you've only just got the bare squad, as it were. So we've got to keep working hard to try and bring in more troops, if you like, because we probably need them, but we're only going to bring in the right ones.
Are you able to take some comfort from the fact that you have seen your team score quite a lot of goals recently, kept a couple of clean sheets, so all the ingredients for success are actually there? Yeah,
they're there. I mean, sometimes you have to give credit to opposition. We beat Wealdstone comfortably, the 5-0 score. Then I watched them play Solihull live on the TV. I'd videoed it and watched it when I got home, and they looked a good side. So we made a pretty good side look not so good on the day. And Solihull had some good results. They found it very hard to break them down. So it's all much of a muchness, and at this moment in time we're trying to. You need to get 2 or 3 results on the trot. We got sort of 2 wins and a draw in the last 3, and that means you've got to make sure that the next couple, you've got to win at least 2 out of 3 to keep your 2 points a game average up, because we need to get in the top half of that table certainly before Christmas, so that you've always got a chance of getting into the top 6, 7.
Now, one of the challenges you identified earlier on in the season with bringing in some new players is that the players would need to know each other's games. Now, amazingly, after Saturday's game, actually a quarter of the way through the season, do you feel that the players have got to know each other's games now? Yeah, I think so. And that was why I was a bit disappointed on Tuesday night, was because they do know each other, and it's about those good players bringing out their best game, and there wasn't too many of them brought out their best game on the day. Again, you've got opposition trying to stop you doing that, and the Boreham would have been a decent side this season at home. Well, they're second now, so we're not going to win every game, but we've got to learn from every game, and the players have got to step up to the plate every time they play, and they've got to play their fastest, their strongest, and their best quality as often as they can. Now, you pride your team on being entertainers. You've got another chance to entertain the nation on Saturday, being on BT Sport again. But Bromley will be a tough task, won't they? Yeah, they are. They're a good side, strong side. They've got a group of lads that's pretty experienced again. They work well on their AstroTurf pitch, they're all used to that, and they've got a strong squad. So over the 2 days they might have to make a couple of changes, and if they do, then they're not any weaker. So like all the games, I look forward to all the games, because I look forward to our team bringing out the best in us. I think the highlight of the game at Boreham Wood, because I'm hoping that they won't ignore us this week, because we lost, but our supporters were magnificent, and I enjoyed their sing-song before the game, because there was a lot of new songs, there was a lot of clever songs, so credit to them. They played their part, and they clapped the lads at the end, and unfortunately we didn't get them the result, but we will do, because we really appreciate that support and that banter, if you like, that goes on between supporters and their songs and the players. So we all enjoyed that, so thanks, and same again at Bromley.
Super. Team news wise, Gary, how's the squad looking?
Well, the squad's looking okay. I mean, I don't think there'd be too many changes as such. You know, we haven't got that big a squad. We'll assess a couple of lads that have been injured over the next couple of days. It's Thursday as we speak, so we've still got a few days to see whether one or two of them might be ready to come back. But so we still feel we've got a strong 16 at this moment in time, and with one or two just off of that looking to get games. So there is still a little bit of competition, but at this stage you don't want to change too much when only a week ago we had such a fine performance.
Indeed. You talked there earlier on when you were chatting to Dom about trying to get a few extra players, and that's something you alluded to a few weeks ago. How difficult is that at the moment?
Well, it's just how it always is. You have to keep looking. We've identified a few, and then the club's got to agree to it. The players got to agree to it. The players' families got to agree to it, and the players' agent has got to agree to it. Now that often is the problem when you're in what they class as non-league, because they don't want their player going from a championship club, for instance, and playing in non-league. Now they obviously haven't seen much of non-league as it was, but in my opinion, the second division and the conference is very, very close now, as you can see by how well Sutton are doing, how well Harrogate are doing, how well Barrow have done, because not so long ago they went up as well. So we're identifying the players, but going through all that process, sometimes it takes a bit of time for all that to come into place.
That sounds quite frustrating, because you'd have thought if you were an agent and you had a client who's not playing, because clearly if they're going to come out on loan, they're obviously not in the first team plans for their club in the football league. You'd want them to be playing because you want them to hopefully make a name for themselves down here and come back in, wouldn't you?
But the stigma is that the fact we're still classed as non-league. Still some bigger teams in our league than there are in the second division and some of the first division. But it's the agents want their players to play, and the players in the football league. That's what they want to do. So that makes it a little bit more difficult to get your sort of mid-age experienced player. You can get the real young one, and you can get the old one who's probably playing his last few games. But we don't really want you sort of want that middle range of sort of 23 to 28 year olds, if you like. You know what I mean? Like Scott Bowden we brought in last year. But that's not easy, and you've got to really keep searching and waiting for the right situation where you get a player like that.
I wonder, you look at kind of, you've been around a long time, you've coached a lot of teams, both here and abroad. How, with the start you've had this season and the way you want to kind of change things now, how big a challenge is this kind of in the challenges you faced in your career, do you think?
Well, every season's a challenge, because if you've had a little bit of success, then you're always under pressure the following year to get the same success. And because I've always, generally I've been at clubs that have been development clubs, if you like, sometimes you're developing players for other teams. Do you know what I mean? So often you don't keep the same group of lads as you had when you were successful, because nature of the game, bigger clubs take them because they see them as being the next level. Especially if you don't quite make that promotion and the lads, the Football League calls, then sometimes that's what happens. And unfortunately as well, when you take loans on board and before they come to you they're young players like Randall, for instance, Adam Randall, and like Sam Sherrin, and then all of a sudden we bring them to that potential that the clubs have loaned us to for that reason, then they've reached, now they're both playing in the first division. Certainly Sam Sherrin's playing regular. Unfortunately Adam's not getting that many games, but he's on their bench, and they obviously feel now he's ready for the first division. So, and then you lose them because you can't keep them forever. So it's it's a revolving thing, and I'm used to it. But it is, hard work for us. To be lovely to keep the same team for 2 or 3 seasons, but that's
football, isn't it?
That's football.
Blame those agents, shall we? I just want to look at Bromley. Really good run at the moment. I think they've only conceded 1 in those 4 wins that they've had. Defensively, what do they do well?
Defensively, well,
they've conceded 1 in their 4 games.
Yeah,
They must be doing something wrong.
Well, defensively, they're experienced, strong. Byron Webster played for me when we got promoted at Yeovil, so I know him well. And you got the lad Partington, you got the lad Bush. They had been around a long time, and that club there suits them. And you know they've got a group that have got experience and young lads that are energetic, and I think that obviously on their pitch as well, they know how to play that pitch. They play on it every other week, and yeah, they got a manager that keeps them going. You know, he's very enthusiastic, and he's done well for them. So they were there or thereabouts last year. I think I'm not sure what their win and loss and draw ratio is, but it's, you know, pretty much someone who's in the 7th spot, you know, won a couple, drawn a couple, lost a couple. But they beat Grimsby a little while ago, 3-1 at home. We know how they looked, although Grimsby did have a man sent off when it was 1-1, I think. So we got to go there and think about us. We've got to try and break down as you say, a solid defence. And we've got to make sure we turn up and play our game. And when we play our game, then we can score goals ourselves, as you know, because at the moment we're right up there as the one of the top scorers. What we've got to try and do is stop other teams scoring against us. And
I know you talked about top scorers. Obviously, we've talked about defence, but Michael Cheek up front, I think it's 18-80 scored. There's only one game in league games not scored in this season. You obviously are going to have to put shackles on him, are you?
Well, we had the same luck against Wealdstone with Josh Umer, who had got 5, you know what I mean? And every club has got a striker or somebody that's in a bit of form as far as goals are concerned. Even us, you know, Marnie Little's scored 5, and you know in the 10 games, which for a midfield player is good. Our main striker's out at the moment, Danny Wright. Holman's now got on the board, so I think, you know, you just have to go into these games believing that you've got a group that's going to win the game, and you've got a pattern that's going to win the game, and then it's down to the players. Then once that 3 o'clock kick-off comes and the whistle goes, they've got to perform and perform Saturday, Tuesday sometimes.
Super, that's fine.
No
Thank
problem.
you so much.
One of the highlights of the Wealdstone game, you know, there was a goal from a centre half. What sort of contribution do you feel that Joe's bringing to the team this season?
Joe Lewis, yeah. He's one of the ones that is consistent. You know, he's got his game. He's a good athlete, very good athlete. He's a great competitor. You know, he's one of the first ones when a player scores, you know, like you can see him punch the air sort of thing. You know, he's a real nice person, but he's a very, very good competitive player, and he leads by example, really.
And he enjoyed his goal, didn't he?
He loved his goal, but it was, you know, his goals are a long time in between. But I'm always, you know, talking to him about scoring from corners, and he's had a few close shaves, but not quite stuck one in. So I did say before that game, the Wealdstone game, that it's important that we're bold today. You have to be bold because they're going to play the ball around at the back and all that. And I mean, how bolder do you want to get than picking it up just outside your area and smashing it into their goal? Like, you know what I mean? That is bold. So I'm pleased for him because he loves his training, he likes his football, and as I say, he is one of the ones that is consistent.
Any update on how long Danny might be out? What's the
not really. No, he's still in a boot at the moment, okay, so he needs that sort of couple of weeks rest. I think it's been a couple of weeks now, so probably won't be long before he's out of it. But be good to have him back. It's another string to our bow, isn't it?
Yeah. And how far away do you think you've had Jake on the bench the last couple of games? Is he where you really want him to be, or is he still getting there at the moment?
Well, if you ask Jake the same question,
he's got it.
exactly, he would say he's absolutely ready. Play me.
Yeah.
But he was out for a long time,
Yeah.
and so he didn't have a proper pre-season, and he still hasn't really had a proper pre-season. He's still got all his ability, of course, but we don't want him breaking down and getting injured because we've put him in there too early, and we've got to judge that because, as I say, if you ask Jake, he's absolutely ready to play anywhere.
Always is. Yeah.
Well, that's not a bad thing, is it?
Yeah. No.